Okay, it looks like I'm underwater here. Um, got a really, really bad. Okay, here we go. Let's check it out. Famously, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yes. Is that good? Are we here? All right. Wow. What a struggle. What a struggle it is today. Um, Give me a second here. Um, okay. All right. So yeah, I mean, basically what I had to do is I had to go to another platform. So we're using Zoom right now. Got a backup plan, a little Mercury retrogradism, and thank you for your patience. It's been interesting. I've been noticing that there have been other streamers that have had issues with StreamYard and audio because what was happening is I was talking and I was getting a level on my end so I could, see the audio. And then I did kind of an independent sound check and I ran a recording program on my end. I actually recorded my voice. So I knew it wasn't the mic, right? It wasn't the mic because it was actually coming through the system and it was being captured. So it's a StreamYard issue. And I was watching a guy who does like Golden State Warriors content, and he was having an issue with his audio. He was also cutting out with stream. So I think that so many people are using StreamYard that StreamYard cannot handle the load because the application does not live on your computer, right? So when I go live, I'm going live through StreamYard. It lives through them and then it's coming to you. So everybody and their brother and sister now is doing YouTube shows, and this is probably the preferred. Not Zoom, but StreamYard is probably the preferred application. I would use Zoom 100% of the time if I could. But Zoom does not allow you to program and let people know that you're going live. That's the one downside with Zoom. They let you stream, through the system, but they're still like client based and is used mostly for like corporate meetings, and that's where they put all their infrastructure and their development is into that part of their business, not into the streaming because they can see that StreamYard is capturing the marketplace. But that's one of the things with success. It's like you have a really good restaurant and you get a good review, and then all of a sudden there's a line out the door. You don't have enough staff. You haven't prepared. You don't have enough food. You run out of the specials too early, and then people never come back. So sometimes products can be a victim of their own success, and maybe that's what's happening with StreamYard. In any case, thank you for your patience. I appreciate it, and let's get into the show, shall we? Let's do it. I'm gonna bring up the. So is it the protocols on Zoom are always just a little bit different. So go in and There we go. That's us. Anyway, thank you all for your patience. I appreciate it uh, tremendously. And yeah, Sunday night had total Mercury. It's been like this. When you throw Mercury retrograde together with Mars retrograde, man, Mars is the chariot. And it's like shit is moving backwards. Although in my progress chart, my progress Mars is retrograde and will be for the next 100 years. So in order for my progress Mars to move forward, basically go all the way back to where it is supposed to move forward, which is at my birth degree, I'd have to live for another 100 years. Part of me would like to live for another 100 years. Not another 100 years at my current age, but another 100 years minus maybe 10. Give me minus 10 plus 100, and then I think I could roll. Minus 10, but where my head is at now versus where it was 10 years ago. Although 10 years ago it wasn't bad. Anyway, yeah, had some car issues. We were in the lovely town of Waco, having way too much fun. Can you believe it? Having fun in Waco? Yes, it's possible. So that's why we didn't make it back on time on Sunday night because it was not going to work. Anyway, here we are, and let's waste no more time and get into what's happening. There's our Mars retrograde, and over here, yes, we have Mercury retrograde, and they are dancing backwards together. Dancing backwards. It's like what is going backwards? Is it 30 frames a second? I think or is that slow motion? Anyway, we're going backwards. Things are going backwards. It's like Syria is about to go backwards by about 200 years as soon as the next made up terror group takes over. So we'll get into some of that over on 15 minutes. We'll look at this idea of twin governments, which feels like it's happening between whatever the shell of the Biden government, whatever you want to call that, and the incoming Trump government. There's two things happening. There's two forms of foreign policy. There's like we live in Donald Trump's Sun Uranus conjunction world in Gemini. That's the world we're living in. That is the world we're living in, where even government is bifurcated. And it's not even left and right anymore. It's like two separate semi-autonomous branches of decision making. So how does this all work for us with this retrograde? Well, in my case, maybe it might be good because, as some of you know, I have the problem child, also known as my Ford F-100 truck, which has been in a constant state of disrepair for the last 3 years. So I have somebody coming over today, perhaps putting the finishing touch on one of the longest automobile rehab stories of my life. And I blame it um, on that show where they have what the Gas Monkey Garage, which is now out of business. Richard Rollins, and they would buy these cars and they'd take them back and they'd fix them up. And I watched, because this is during when everything was so fucking woke, right? It was all woke programming. So I'm watching reruns of this Gas Monkey, fix them up car show. So I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds great. I'd love to do that. Oh, my kid's about to get a car. He's almost 16. Let me get him a cool ass truck and fix it up. Little did I know that the cool ass truck would be the money pit, the unending money pit in my life. Well, today, perhaps the money pit closes up. Perhaps the cavernous, yawning black hole of not just money, but frustration and time, it might come to an end. Fingers crossed. And under a retrograde. So maybe this is what this is about. Really digging in and going back. I got so many backlogged projects and things that I got to take care of here that maybe this is really where the energy needs to go. Like we got to go backwards before we can move forwards with both of these aspects. And they are in sextile right now, so they're speaking to each other. I would say forward movement is greatly exaggerated at this time. Greatly exaggerated. Somebody brought up Daniel Penny in the chat earlier, and his verdict came during a Mercury retrograde. And what's interesting is that Mercury is in Sagittarius, which rules legality. And I was trying to find Daniel Penny's birth date. It's hard to find. It's not there in its entirety, but he's born in 1996. So he's a Zoomer, right? Daniel Penny's Gen Z. And Mercury is conjunct his natal Pluto. I think he's probably got Pluto maybe around 0 or 1, right? And I think it's a wide conjunction, but Mercury, I think, was about at what, 9 degrees yesterday. So a wide conjunction, and Sagittarius rules the law and justice. So it's interesting that you could have. I'd love to see his chart, but you could have one person reverse the justice system. Now, I don't think he could be tried again, obviously, because that would be double indemnity. But I do know that Jordan Neely's father, who abandoned him, who was probably the cause of a lot of Jordan Neely's issues, along with the death of his drug addicted mother. I mean, this guy Jordan Neely. He didn't have a fucking chance, right? He was just like human refuse. And how many people in this world are like Jordan Neely? A lot. There's a lot of human refuse on this planet. And I don't say that in a derogatory way. It's just the way it is. And unfortunately, the postmodern world has created more of it. So he never had a chance. And he's drugged out and acting out, and the system enables him. And then he runs across a guy in a subway who probably had enough, right? I mean, that's the other thing about uh, about Daniel Penny is that if he's a millennial, I don't think he's doing anything. I mean, honestly, but he's Gen Z and they're just wired differently. Like we have this so-called killer of the CEO from United Health. He's, supposedly Gen Z. We'll get into him a little bit over on 15 minutes. I think he's just slightly about 26, slightly younger than Daniel Penny. Daniel Penny's 28, going through his Saturn return, ironically. So what's interesting, just looking at that court decision, is that you would think that the courts, especially with the very woke district attorney who was prosecuting him, and the momentum of court cases and rulings over the past 10 years that have seemingly gone in the other direction, right? Like everybody associated with George Floyd, Derek Chauvin, and the Minnesota cops, the J6ers. I mean, it just feels like, these kangaroo courts were set up. And if anything, what they were practicing was, injustice in the name of social justice. And so now here we have this one man who is on trial during these two very important retrograde aspects. And it's almost like we turned the clock back a little bit in terms of justice. So that's a really interesting ruling, right? And the streets are not spilling with Black Lives Matter activists burning America down. Number one, it's too cold. People don't like to riot in the wintertime. It's too much effort. They need to be able to ride in the summer where people bring them nice bottles of water and ask them if they're okay. And do they need their iPhone recharged? Right. Oh, can I bring you some more water while you burn our town down? Yes, and can you please kneel? Can you please kneel while you hand me that bottle of water? Oh yes, yes, no problem. We're so sorry. We're so sorry. Those days are over. And not because we have any animus towards people. They're just over. We're in a different world, right? That Pluto and Capricorn was just so hierarchical, and everybody like there was such an assertion of dominance during Pluto and Capricorn. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of like, okay, we're going to put the trans people on the top of the pyramid now. They're on the top of the pyramid. Oh, okay. No, now we're going to put homosexuals, gay men and women on top of the pyramid now. And not only that we're going to put them there, they're going to demand that they're on top of the pyramid. Okay, now we're going to put minorities on top of that pyramid now. I mean, this is what it came down to towards the end of Pluto and Capricorn. And it was all that Virgo decan, right? And the Virgo decan is the folk. It's the workers of the world, right? But that's over now. It's over. There's no placing the establishment's puppets on top of the pyramid. Pluto and Aquarius doesn't give a shit about that, right? Pluto and Aquarius theoretically is and justice for all, right? Because Aquarius is the people and it is the higher octave of Libra and being the high, Libra is the higher octave of Gemini. Aquarius is the higher octave of Libra. And Libra is the scales, right? It's balance. So this is a very important time in terms of resetting the table. Like it doesn't fly. And even let's go into the whole Ketanji Jackson Brown statements of a week ago. 2 years ago, she says that, or 3 years ago, she says that, and everybody's having to rethink this whole idea of gender. Hey, maybe I got it wrong. Maybe there are 40 types of gender. Maybe the exploitation of gender, non-gender people is the same as people that pick cotton in the fields and were whipped and were forced to have sex with their masters. Like that's the thought process 3 years ago. That doesn't happen now. And so when Ketanji Brown, if she said that 3 years ago, everybody's doing this. Maybe they might be right. But now when it's said, it's like this woman's a fucking idiot. I mean, this is what's happened, right? I can't tell you how important this Plutonian shift has been because Pluto in Capricorn was in that third decan, and Virgo is always about like the underclass. Virgo serves Leo in a lot of ways, although Leo's supposed to serve Virgo because the kings and the queens and the monarchical energy is supposed to serve the people, right? I mean, that's how theoretically it's supposed to work. But at a certain point, and I think it was in really 2011 when Regulus moved into Virgo, and all of a sudden now the people, and not just any people, but it was like if you were a special needs person under those final degrees of Pluto and Capricorn, You and your special needs group and the people that were supporting you, i.e., major corporations, Walmart, Amazon, if they had a DEI program, boy, you went right to the top. It's over. Pluto and Aquarius, it's over. Nobody, and I'm sorry, but nobody gives a shit about your special needs anymore, right? Because at a certain point, we all kind of wake up. We're all in this together. And if you don't understand that, you're going to understand it pretty quickly. Um, Ceres is also right there at one Aquarius. So we're nurturing a new perspective. This is a really interesting point in time, right? Because Ceres, you know, right when Pluto went into Aquarius, Ceres was there, right? It was there as well, almost at 0 degrees. So this is a monumental conjunction in a lot of ways. I mean, we are nurturing this deep cultural transformation from the jump, right? And we know that Venus passed from Capricorn through Pluto and Ceres and is now at 3 degrees Aquarius. So it's our relationship with the new world, the new template, the new time. And the things we're at kind of a what they used to call it BC and then AD and then they changed it to the CE, BC, CE, whatever one of those mind fuckery things that they do, right? So we're in the new time now. This is the new time. And people talk about a new timeline and yeah, I mean we are in a new time. Literally, we are in a new time. And it is marked by the Daniel Penny decision. Because the old time, they would have found his ass guilty, but not now. Not now. Moon's in Aries coming in and conjuncting Chiron today. And this is one of those days where you got to strap it on and just keep going, keep moving forward, just like today's show. Like I just kept moving forward. I just tied up my boots and we moved forward with everything. There's a lot of retrograde in the air. One, two, three, four. Chiron's always going back and forth. Four, five, if you throw Chiron into the mix. Neptune has moved direct. Neptune is on its way to Aries now, boys and girls. That's right. Next time Neptune goes retrograde, it'll go retrograde in Aries, coming back with a little splash of water uh, in um, in 2025. And that true node is just ticking down, ticking down. We are just 3 degrees away from a nodal shift. And that true node is going to go into Pisces. And man, I'm telling you, oil, gas, big pharma, right? We have a lot coming down the pipeline, pun intended, with this true node going into Pisces. It's going to be a very so again, this it's a you can always tell where things are going, right? You can always tell where things are going. And I talked about those final degrees of the Capricornian decan. Well, that south node is coming into Virgo, right? It's coming into Virgo and all those special needs, all the people that are standing up and saying, "What about us? What about us? What about us?" That's changing. Again, even with that true node moving into Pisces, it's more like, well, we're all one. Nope. Again, it's like nobody's more I mean, theoretically, nobody's more special than anyone else, especially in Pisces. It's the Godhead. It's where we come from, right? Virgo differentiates it. Virgo creates categories. Virgo creates scale. So we're in a very interesting time, and it's coming at the end of the year, the beginning of the year, the new timeline, right? Is it going to be easier? I'm not so sure about that. But I'll tell you one thing, the deck won't be as stacked against people who have to swim upstream. We'll have less of that. So that part will be good, right? Now, Mars is going to keep going backwards in Cancer, and it's going to get us kind of in touch with some of this feeling. And I'm telling you, man, there are going to be people with this Mars in Cancer that are going to be angry. It's going to bring up a lot of buried resentment and emotions, and and I think a lot of it, because again, if we really track this, right, this is the end of the Biden administration, and I don't, the way our lives run is that we are most of us are in a mild form of crisis management all the time, mild form of crisis management. So what we're trying to do is, I got to do this, and I got to do this, and I got to do this. I got to check this box and this box. And this person needs me, right? All these things that we are doing just to keep our lives working, whether it's financially, whether it's through interpersonal relationships, like there are things that we just have to do. And a lot of times there are fires that we have to put out. So what happens is that, we forget, there is a great forgetting that takes place because we're so focused on the individual frames of everyday life and just, getting through the day or getting through the week or getting through the month or getting through the quarter if you have a business, whatever that is. If we were to spend a show, maybe I'll do this. Maybe I'll do this on Friday. This would be a good Friday show to go back and just look at everything from the last 4 years. You would go into a rapid boiling rage. Let me tell you, a rapid boiling rage. Because once Trump left office, they spent 2 years trying to continue to cram COVID down our throats. 2 years. And the Biden administration went all the way to the Supreme Court to try to get them to mandate shots and masks. 2 years of that. And finally, when the numbers were dwindling down and they realized that there was no there anymore, they just shifted tracks and went in on Ukraine. And then we've had 2 years worth of money laundering through Ukraine. And those are just two of the high level items. This Mars retrograde in Cancer, people are going to be pissed, right? I mean, at a certain point, it's like people are going to wake up that their lives are being stolen from them, whether it's through these time thieves or whether it's through attention thieves or whether it's through these absolutely corrupt bureaucrats who are sending trillions of dollars to other places versus this one while allowing the border to open like a sieve, right? I mean, we've just been going through like all this trauma just to get through it. Meanwhile, everything's gone to hell in a handbasket. I'm telling you, this Mars retrograde in Cancer is going to be very prickly, very prickly. People they're not going to dig it, right? And then, we're coming up on the January 6th thing. And Trump has said he's going to pardon everybody. Once he gets in, a blanket pardon. Well, if he doesn't do that, then what's going to happen? People are going to be pissed. So I don't think the anger is in one direction. I think the anger is pretty agnostic at this point. The frustration, the resentment, pretty agnostic. And for you people that are in other parts of the world, you have your own version of this, right? You have your own traitorous sons of bitches who are allowing people to come in your country under the auspices that your birth control is low, or your birth rate is low, rather. Your birth control is low, and you'd be fine. Well, you want to reverse that? You want to reverse the trend? Here's what you do. You make get the divorce difficult again, and you ban birth control. You want the rates to go up? Birth rate, that's what you do. And then you get rid of, you know, all the other shit, the microplastics, the xenoestrogens. Birth rates will go up. Testosterone will go up. Anyway, so the United States and the people of this country are not alone in their Mars retrograde and Cancer outrage. It's coming. All right, let's get into our star of the day since we're behind schedule slightly. Today's star of the day brought to you by True Hemp Science, your one-stop shop for all things CBD related. All you got to do, spend $100 or more, type in 15 mins, 15 MINS, and you will get a goodie bag with your order, including the amazing Starlight Gummies worth the price of admission, and at least one of the eyedroppers of one of Chris's magic elixirs. So there you go, 15 MINS. And by the way, they do make great stocking stuffers. All right, here's your star of the day. Today's star of the day is Thailand. So it's interesting because there are three quote unquote countries that are well, two countries. Well, one country, um, one, what would you call it? Protectorate in one state. So happy birthday, Thailand. Happy birthday, Guam. And happy birthday, Mississippi. Of the three, I thought Thailand was the most interesting. So why did I choose Thailand? Well, uh, let's talk about Thailand and sex, shall we? Thailand is a tourist sex, it's a sexual tourist destination. If you want to get freaky, you can get freaky in Thailand. You can get freaky. You can get your freak on in Thailand. You can rent a girl or a pretty boy for the month. But you can rent one for the month. They have no problem whatsoever in Thailand uh, renting out human flesh. No problem at all. Right? So how does it all work? Well, first of all, Thailand's an Aquarian rising country. So it has some very unusual standards and norms. Pluto, by the way, is conjuncting Thailand Saturn. And I wonder what's going to go on there with Thailand. Like that is a place that theoretically would be rife for some kind of outbreak with venereal disease. Am I right? Although I think a lot of these girls in Thailand do practice birth control. So with Aquarius rising, there's this kind of interesting, weird, like acceptance. Like hey, anything goes within limits. With Aquarius rising, and we're friendly for everyone is for sale here. And I've seen videos like families will rent out their daughters. It's a family fucking business. And look at the fourth house, right? You have Chiron and Gemini, you have Black Moon Lilith and Taurus down here. You have the moon in Taurus, fourth house ruled by Taurus. So, um, yeah, the family's involved in the family trade. They get a cut of the action. Sometimes you even have to meet the parents. If it's a long-term rental, I'm serious. If it's a long-term rental, you're meeting the parents. You're giving the parents gifts. And as long as you are keeping the money flowing, uh, they're going. However, they will They will also, they won't tell you this, but you're paying for exclusivity. A lot of times it's not exclusive. We have Venus and Scorpio right at the top of the chart, right? So what is that? That's relationship to sex, Venus and Scorpio, right there. That's what predominates Thailand is this relationship with sex, sexual tourism. Look, it's got Mercury retrograde in the chart, and it is at the same degree, pretty much. What is Mercury at today? Nine, almost at the same degree that we're talking about it. But for me, right, then you have Jupiter, Jupiter in the eighth house. What's the eighth house? It's other people's money. It's also sex. And it's Virgo. You have a lot of sex workers in Thailand. It's the way it is, right? A lot of sex workers. What I found interesting, this is why I chose this picture. Even Pluto, right? Pluto rules sex, and it's in the sixth house, so it's every day, and it's got that trine with Venus and Jupiter in the eighth house. The sex trade in Thailand is huge. It's huge money. That's why people go there. We're running out of time, but when I was younger, I had some weird idea that I could be a real estate agent. And so I started to hang out with these people at Century 21. And the people that owned this Century 21, they were the owners, right? This one branch. They were swingers and they went to Thailand. And I had heard the rumors and I was in the car one time. We were coming back from some kind of fucking, rah real estate meeting. It made my stomach turn. But this guy's driving me back to my house and he's like, ever go to Thailand? I'm like, no, I haven't. He goes, oh, it's amazing. It's really amazing. Really? Oh yeah. So good. He and his wife they were full blown swingers. And he's like, you should really go. So okay, let's get into the pretty boys. This is a pretty boy. You got a Mars Neptune conjunction, right? Mars is male energy, right? It is male energy. It's in Virgo, which is very feminine, right? It's very Virgo's feminine energy. And you have Neptune, which is blurring the masculine, right? It is so you go to Thailand and you will find somebody like this who's actually a dude. And you will find them everywhere. Everywhere. There's no country in the world where the males can shapeshift so fluidly than Thailand. And you can see it with this Mars Neptune conjunction. And then the South Node is the weak male. It is the weak male that's associated with the country. And then we have the Sun in Sagittarius, right? Travel, 11th house. Hey, we like groups of people coming here. And then you have Mercury also, travel, Sagittarius. People, there are a lot of expats that live in Thailand. And I'll tell you where they're from mostly Canada and England. And the dudes that are the expats that live there, there's a reason why they live there because they cannot. I'm just calling it out. I watched. We were watching a lot of documentaries on Thailand, right, and travel, and a lot of them were dudes telling you what's good about Thailand and what's not good about Thailand. And most of these guys were either English or Canadian, and they could not get women in their own country. This is the common denominator. And they lived cheaply in Thailand, and they were there primarily to rent girls out. And then maybe every now and then, if they had big money, they would marry one of these girls, right? But a lot of them are here for this too. You got a Sun Uranus trine, and also with Aquarius rising, right? Uranus rules the chart. It's anything goes, man. This is an anything goes kind of place. As long as you can pay for it, you can get it in Thailand. You can get it there, right? And if you're a parent, you know what the family business is. All right, that'll do it. Thanks for hanging in here with us today. Uh, I gotta I gotta fuck the StreamYard a little bit, see what's going on. If I can't get StreamYard to actually function, I just think they're overloaded. They got too many people using the application. Then I'm just gonna just be back here tomorrow at 8. We'll roll with Zoom, which does not tell you that I'm streaming. Like you can't program during Zoom. Just meet me back here at 8. We'll do it one way or another. Thank you for being here. And it's good to be back on track and share the holiday season with you. Mods, thank you very much for all your help. Shataria, you are the best. Take good care of yourselves.